Starting teaching at OIT and ending up VP at Microsoft, I'm curious about any insights that could be taken for people in college or post college.
Um, I think it's worth noting that there's a lot of luck involved in moving around. Luck, I think of as being a formula, and I describe it as opportunity plus being prepared. So you bumble around, you do your thing, you get jobs when you can, you learn what you can, and then an opportunity presents itself, and then you are either prepared or you're not. And then if an opportunity presents itself and you are prepared, that equals luck. And you go, oh yeah, how lucky is that? So I didn't sit around my house planning a master plan where I was going to go and be an adjunct professor at Portland Community College or at OIT. Uh, Opportunities presented themselves, and I was mentally prepared for those opportunities. So one of the things that I try to offer people advice for is to be as prepared as you can with the basics, with the core stuff. I think that's even more important now when everyone's saying AI will do it all for you. The thing that people forget about is that AI is externalized. It's outside your brain. So the only thing that you have that you carry around with you is your own brain. So I really tried to focus on a deep, broad understanding of the basics. Like everyone's like, oh, I just use ChatGPT. Well, ChatGPT is a system that is sitting on top of an incredibly huge stack, and your cell phone battery dies, or the cell phone tower dies, or the big earthquake happens, and suddenly you're an idiot that has a brick in their pocket, as opposed to an idiot with a pocket supercomputer. So I would encourage anyone who's getting started or early in career to remember that the only thing that you can carry with you that they can't take away from you is your own brain. So that has served me well for the last 30 plus years. So I keep reminding folks, how many years in are you? 2 years?
Yeah, going into my junior year.
Going into your junior year. Like, do y'all have a deep, clear understanding of how processes work on a computer, how they get moved around from CPU to CPU, how threading works, how algorithms work? Not in the leet code way, but just in the good fundamental, I understand how an internal combustion engine makes the car move kind of a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Is there anything you think that might be underrated or looked over for people just now entering the career landscape?
Soft skills. Um, People like to say, "Oh, so and so got that job because they are personality hire or something like that." People like to use excuses like that. The problem is there's so many people out there looking for a job right now that it's hard to look different on a resume if if the resume is just a list of all the things you know. Right. Here's a list of all the products I know. Here's a list of all the skills I have. Here's a list of all the stuff. People should be thinking about their resumes in terms of impact. Right. Here's the impact that I imposed. Here's the impact that I drove. Um, Here are the skills I have. Have a podcast, give presentations, be able to look someone in the eye and shake their hands. Like that's a skill in itself. So being able to uh, communicate clearly, speak extemporaneously, give a presentation in short notice with minimal planning. These are all things that I think are underrated. I think that the people who are more likely to get jobs are the ones that are carrying the group in the group project, as opposed to the misunderstood genius who is a jerk that no one wants to work with on the group project. But they do a lot of work. They get a lot of code done. Yeah, but he's a dick. I don't want to work with that guy. He's not nice. Give me a couple of nice people that are 80% rather than one jerk who's a 10x developer.
So you've been blogging and podcasting for almost 2 decades, right?
Yeah, well over 2 decades,
Oh,
20,
over
22,
Okay.
23 years.
So what has been your secret to staying so consistent, or how have you gone about, continuing for this long?
Acknowledging that it's not a 5 day a week thing; it's a once a week thing. I think that name any YouTuber that you've enjoyed, and you will find a YouTuber who has done a burnout video, and I'm stepping away, and then they leave for a year or two, and they go on walkabout, and then they come back. Like everyone has done that. Um, that's like I don't know. Do you work out much?
Yeah.
Okay, how often do you work out?
5 times a week.
Okay, that's pretty intense. Would you agree? Did you
Yeah.
start from 0 to 5?
Yes, but it was probably the wrong approach.
How did you not fall off? You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you start your circles on your Apple Watch, and then it's like as soon as you lose one, it's like, screw it, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah, I think just being driven by fear over like the benefit, you're driven by what you don't want versus what you do want.
Uh, Fear is only motivating so far, right? You actually have to enjoy yourself. Um, Being working out 5 days a week, going from 0 to 5 is hard. If someone is not a YouTuber or not a content creator, and I said the only way that you can succeed is if you do it 5 days a week. That's a big ask. You know, a lot of people don't do anything 5 days a week. So for me, it was acknowledging that it is uh, a marathon and not a sprint. So once a week is sustainable. Blogging twice a week is sustainable, even though I've taken a break on blogging for a while. If something doesn't feed your spirit, it is challenging to grind it out forever. So I'm impressed. Not everyone has the 5 day a week ability or time, or privilege in the context of like if you're working 50 hours a week, you may not have the time to work out at night or to podcast or whatever. I would say, and doing something 5 days a week is less sustainable than just trying to do something once or twice a week.
I saw you speak on saying no, and I was curious your thought process or ideas on how do you go about saying no to the right things, choosing early on in your career, how do you not miss out on opportunities?
The reason that people don't say no early in their career is the belief that when you say no, that there will never be another opportunity for the rest of your life. That's the fear. Like if I say no to this, no one will ever, ever, ever ask me again. That's a very common kind of like teenage thing that becomes a young adult thing. Like someone asks you to a party. Maybe it's not your vibe. Maybe it's problematic. Maybe there's going to be drinking or smoking or something there that you don't want. And you go to the party anyway because it's the first party you've ever been invited to, maybe the last. Uh, I think that one has to have a glasses half full sense of abundance, that there will always be more. Now, I realize, again, that there's a privilege in saying something like that, but this is more of a worldview than it is anything else. The perspective that there will be another job, there'll be another opportunity, there'll be another speaking gig, there'll be another conference, there'll be another podcast, but you don't have to say yes to everything. And if you do, then you are giving away a piece of yourself every time. There'll be another thing, there'll be another party.
Pivoting into I think students view it from the lens as it's either like a threat or a shortcut. So I'm thinking, how would you view it or give advice for it to boost creativity or output within one's career and for it not to be a shortcut or a threat?
I think that's very well said. I think it is a threat and it is a shortcut. Um, but it's another piece of tech, just like the internet or iPads or Google. Um, the threat is what it's going to do to your brain. It's a threat like TikTok is a threat. Like I enjoy TikTok, but when I lose time and 3 hours goes by and I go, what the, my brain doesn't feel good. I just lost 3 hours on TikTok. It's okay to be on TikTok if you do it with intention. This is what I intended to do. I need a break. I'm going to sit on TikTok for 30 minutes, an hour, 90 minutes. Versus, I'm completely burned out and stressed out. I'm going to turn my brain off and time travel 4 hours in the future where TikTok has destroyed my brain. The same thing applies uh, to ChatGPT or to any kind of LLM where it's like, I have some work, but I'm burned out and I'm tired and capitalism. I'm going to go and just vibe this 5 paragraph essay on the Civil War. And now I've turned in a C plus paper. It's perfectly fine. I get a C plus, and now I've vibed my way into a 4 year degree. At some point, someone's going to hand your ass to you and say, you don't know what you're doing. Like, I know it's a boomer thing to say. I know it's like, old man who shakes fist at cloud, but your brain turns off. Like, we all saw the MIT study that if you use it as a tutor, if you use it as a study buddy, if you use it as a Quizlet, if you use it as an encouraging helper, as an exoskeleton for your brain, ChatGPT can activate more of your brain. Remember my original statement, the brain is the only thing they can't take away from you. But if you just use it to vibe, so then you can party and then vibe some more, like you are releasing your brain and the one gift that you've been given to the machine. So I tend to use it as I have it interview me. One example I like to give is my 17-year-old had an AP bio test. I haven't done bio in a long time. I've got some understanding of biology, but it's 20 years old, 30 years old. So rather than saying, let's cheat on the test with ChatGPT, which we could certainly do, I said, let's page in, like paging from disk. Let's page into memory. What do I know about biology? So I sat down and I used the voice mode of ChatGPT. And I said, hey, I'm this old, I have this context, and I listed out a couple of concepts about biology that I could remember. I'm trying to get up to speed so I can help my son with his AP bio. Quiz me on AP bio until it's clear that I don't know what I'm doing. Explain concepts to me. I will paraphrase the concept back to you. And if you think that I'm missing something, catch me and let's figure out together where my understanding ends. And then catch me up. And I went on a walk with my AirPods and I spent 2.5 hours yapping with an infinitely patient tutor to get me up to speed on AP Bio. And then I went and I helped my son. Do you see how that's a fundamentally different way of using AI than taking a picture of it, like, oh yeah, you can take a picture of the question and it'll answer them all for you. AI can augment humans and give us an exoskeleton for our brains, or it can deeply cheapen human effort and human art and human work. I choose to not cheapen human effort.
Definitely puts into perspective for me the importance of being able to communicate well within this AI world. And I see you're very good at communicating very technical, complex concepts very easily. And I'm
Thank you.
curious how do you go about that? Do you have any advice for people who would like to get better at it?
People feel the need to yap to fill space, but I want to hear what you think. I don't want to hear how you think. I don't want you to go and break down your thinking process because when you just yap, it's like stumbling. I'm watching you stumble and hum and ham and haw, not you, but one, their way through an answer. And I'm watching their thought process. Why not just shut up and think for a second and then answer? Because no one wants uncomfortable silences. So for me, when I'm trying to get a point across, I give it a thought, I build the outline in my head, and I walk through the outline and I see where it takes me. But I do the best I can to avoid the ums and the ahs and the pauses, as you can see right now when we're having this conversation, in order to get my point across. That's a muscle. That's a muscle. You're working out 5 days a week, you said. So you're building a muscle. I am trying to do the same thing, except it's the having a conversation muscle. It's getting so bad that there is like an entire class of TikTok videos, which is like people, usually young men, talking to people on the street. And they're like, I'm aura farming, or I'm walking around. Look at me. POV, you're an extrovert. Like, really? Like, content is now talking to people like a normal person. And we're doing that to shake off this kind of COVID stiffness that we've all developed. But not everybody has ADHD. Not everybody's an introvert. Not everybody is suffering from, agoraphobia. Some of y'all are just buying into it's hard to talk to people. It's a muscle. Go and do it. Just say hello to the person at the Walmart when you get your groceries. Be charming. Be nice. Give it a try. And then when it doesn't work, try again tomorrow. Like we're willing to do that for working out. We're willing to do that for expressing technical content. But when people see someone aura farming on a TikTok, and then you go, "Wow, that guy's so talented. He's so charming." Maybe they just practiced. So my answer to your question is a lot of practice, a lot of sucking. Right? Just was Simone Biles born doing Simone Bilesy stuff? She practiced all that time that she's not on TikTok or Instagram being amazing. Probably grinding. And not grinding an hour a day, grinding like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a day. So yeah, what you're seeing, and thank you for the compliment, is the result of many, many years of doing this. So do the grind. The work takes time.
Are there any other traits beyond communication that you see as really important, maybe within hiring or
Mm.
within the career realm? What traits are on that same tier as communication?
Systems thinking, thinking about a system. Right now, people are. It's what there's a phrase right now on the internet that is, everything is a conspiracy when you don't understand how anything works. I just got a package, and the guy wanted me to pay the tariff, and I had to pay a $41 tariff because the package was coming directly from China, and he wanted a check. So I put it on. I mentioned that, hey, look, it's happening, right? I just had to pay a package. Package came from Taiwan, $41 tariff on a $400 package or whatever it was, and it was a bummer. But he wanted a check, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's a scam!" Like, "Oh, he's trying to steal money from you." No, hang on, I know the guy. That was the UPS guy. See him all the time. Why did he want a check? He didn't have Apple Pay on his thing. He's got a little old tablet thing, right? Oh well, that can't be true. Well, let's talk about how systems work, right? When you make a change in a system, here's how things ripple through the system. I can't believe they're not more organized. Really? Because a dramatic change in how we ship things internationally just changed the de minimis exemption for tariffs of $800 expired in May. What's that? I've never heard of that. Well, then, let's talk about systems. That interaction. I'm having people on the internet tell me that a thing that just happened, like I was just there, like 10 feet away at my front door. Oh, and I'll take things that never happened for 200, Alex. Everything's a conspiracy when you don't understand how things work. Let me explain the system. But then you think about the stack, the the fuel that needed to fuel the ship, and the ship that had to come all the way from Taiwan, and the port, and the dock loaders, and the unloaders at the dock, and the dock. Like there's a system. And in this case, the system has been changed because of a politics, and a thing happened, and people just can't believe it. But breaking down systems, whether it be what happens when you plug in a USB cable, or what happens when you type google.com and you press enter, or why I just had to write a check to the UPS guy for $41. Breaking that down is valuable. Otherwise, people just kind of go through life, they fuel their car, and they go, oh, this is BS. Look at that. It's $4 a gallon. It was $3.50 yesterday. Systems are complicated, whether they be computer systems. The stack of layers of abstraction is complicated. So understanding that is a very important skill.
I agree. I feel like that's getting increasingly more important as time goes on. Say you were just graduating today and you had no audience or connections or you had no network. How would you go about beginning to build your career equity and your building an audience?
What is the goal of building an audience?
Having eyes on you?
What is the value of that? So what? Are you trying to get a job? What is the goal? I think a lot of people are trying to be influencers. They feel that they need to have a lot of followers. So what? For what purpose? If the goal is for your YouTube channel or your Instagram to be a living resume, is the goal so that when people Google your name, they find that you know what you're doing? Is the goal resume augmentation? Or is the goal just eyes? Like, why are you and I qualified to be influencers or tech influencers more than anyone else? So my question is, you said, how would you build an audience? Why are we building an audience?
Do you think that it helps assist connect you with people that are in the same realm? I know that I have trouble finding people that are interested in the same things that I am. So my thought process is it helps me potentially at least put myself out there. So this is what I'm interested in. This is what I like to do. These are my goals and aspirations.
Huh.
And just so that it's public in the sense that like if no one knew, how would I find or connect or meet with those people or learn from them?
There you go. That's a good reason. The difference is everyone wants 25,000 followers on whatever, but you just said you're looking for authentic human connection with like-minded people. So that's the difference between how do I build a community around the things I care about versus how do I get followers. You see the difference? So phrase it differently, think about it differently. How do you build authentic community of people that you want to hang out with? It's pretty hard to build an authentic community of 50,000 people, but it's pretty easy to build one of like 1,000 true fans. Sometimes you can just be 15 people that want to hang out regularly. There's a guy locally here in Portland that puts together nerd dinners, and he gets together with like 15 to 20 guys, and it's always a rotating group of folks. They go to movies, they go hang out, and they talk about like-minded stuff. So like that's a kind of community. On Thursday this week, I have the Commodore 64 Portland area users group to look at the old Commodore 64 computer that was made long, long, long before you were born. And there's 15, 20 people who are interested in that. So if you get the right 15 or 20, just be yourself at scale, authentically, online, without burning out. Do it for a year or so, and you'll get a couple of dozen people, and then a couple dozen will be a couple of hundred, and then that may become a couple of thousand. And as long as you cultivate kindness within that community, you will be successful. That's different than give the people what they want, and now I'm an influencer and I have a deal with Netflix.
What about getting the ball rolling within your career and meeting people that are on the same level and
Yeah, yeah,
ahead
yeah.
of you?
I'm a big fan of meetup.com, going in person. We're both in Oregon. There's lots of tech in Oregon. Staying at home in your studio apartment is really hard place to find community, but there's always a meetup in your town and my town. Every day there's something going on. It might be small. There's always something. JavaScript get together. I saw data scientists of Oregon, like ML visualizations. Like there's always something going on. Like I mentioned, the Commodore 64. Like find a subgroup. There's somebody doing a meetup, and if not, make a meetup. And then if I did a meetup and only 3 people came, 3 people more than I had before. So like set reasonable expectations. I love it when I find new people on on TikTok that like hit 1,000 followers. Freaking awesome! That's 3 orders of magnitude more than one. You know what I mean? Like let's give ourselves something for 3 orders of magnitude. But we keep comparing ourselves to million people, influencers, and people who have tables at Comic Con and stuff like that. I keep your expectations low, and you'll never be disappointed.
Something I saw you say that was interesting was hope is not a plan. And
Oh, hope is
that
not a
just
strategy. I believe that intentionality is really missing. I encourage both my sons to be intentional and deliberate. If you accept the defaults, then whatever the default is just going to happen. That's the thing that happened. Why did it happen? I don't know. I didn't do anything. Not doing something is a decision, right? Like I need to make a decision. I decide to do nothing. And then the default happens. Whatever the thing that was going to happen happens. So I think that it is intentionality that allows us to break out of any kind of uncomfortable cycles. If something's not working, try something different. Hoping it's going to fix itself is not a strategy. Like, because a lot of worry is, oh, a thing I can't control, I'm worried about. Well, I hope it'll get better. Well, is it going to get better if you do nothing? Right? Like, hoping your house doesn't burn down while it's burning, not a strategy. So try to move from, I intentionally want a thing to happen. Right? I am doing a podcast and no one's listening. Well, I'll try again next week. Like, oh, I take this milk out of the fridge. The milk is bad. Well, I'll put it back in the fridge. Maybe it'll be good tomorrow. That's not a strategy. Deliberately take action, little actions. Like an action can be, I'm catching myself on TikTok. I've been rotting in the bed for the last 2 hours. I got up at 11:30 on a Tuesday. I'm going to try getting up at 9:45. I'm not saying you got to get up at 5 a.m. and jog. Just intentionally go, why am I waking up at 11:30? I think I'm a little down. I need to get some sunshine. Take some vitamin D. Tiny, tiny habits of deliberate intention is different and more powerful than hope.
looking back, if you were to provide yourself, maybe as you were working on your degree, with a piece, if you were to tattoo a message on yourself, what would that be? What would you want to send to yourself? And how would you go about navigating this landscape we are entering?
I probably thought a bunch of stuff was pretty deep, and it just wasn't that deep. So there's a lot of angst, and there's a lot of things that are screwed up. But you gotta, control your peace. So deciding what to be outraged about is important. Otherwise, if you'd be outraged about everything, I've seen people freak out. Like we had a website down at work, and someone wanted to know if I wanted them to cancel their vacation. Well, let's talk about it. Is this website important? Yeah. How important is it? Are we saving babies? No. Can it wait till Monday? Probably. Okay, then don't cancel your vacation. The website will be down for Sunday. Oh my God, are you sure we're gonna get in trouble? It's not that deep. All right. Like, is it actively saving babies? No. Then, like, prioritize. Are you going to get a B? Oh my God, yeah, probably. Is that B going to be the moment that your entire career at school and like destroyed? Like, kill yourself, get an A, take a little bit of a break, get a B plus. It's up to you. You have to decide. Just be deliberate. It doesn't. I'm not saying B's are great. I'm just saying decide. Be intentional.
There's a lot of uncertainty, and I think you've spoken about the imposter syndrome, just always like stepping above where you think you're capable.
Right. Right.
And is there anything that like you would send to yourself from that lens of like you are always going to be combating these thoughts where you don't
Yeah.
belong or
Yeah.
you're incapable?
I mean, the only competition is you yesterday. I guess is something I would tell myself, but also just that it's not that deep. Like once you've got bread and water and food and basics, everything else is gravy. Like I have very low expectations. You know what I mean? Like I don't have any. Like, I'm not really excited about material objects. And the material objects I have, I like this arcade here. Like I want to build myself and make. So like I I I was sending my son this stupid TikTok about this like these people with like five cars or like I'll have like a Mercedes in their front yard or whatever, and they get like a the big the cul-de-sac with all the cars and stuff like that. And my son's like, "Why don't we have that?" I'm like, that's not gonna make you happy, man. So everything I'm doing is to kind of optimize to be chill, to be safe, to be fed, to be warm, to be healthy, and to be helping other people. Everything else is just not that deep. It's a different goal than move to San Francisco and get $1 million condo or whatever. I don't know. What's your goal?
In what sense?
Well, what's the point, right? Now you're 30. What are you doing? Happy, healthy, got an apartment, got a house.
I hope to have a level of freedom and autonomy over my time. I think that's the
Yeah.
point and that's my goal.
That's the only thing that matters. A reasonable amount of freedom and autonomy over your time.
Thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Sure, sure.